Hello and welcome to Travel Babble with Basha. I am Basha, back from a 2.5 month travel extravaganza. I'm going to do several videos, but I wanted to start with my first starting point for myself, which was on the Norwegian NCL Spirit in Alaska. I boarded in Vancouver. I spent 3 weeks going back and forth between Vancouver and Seward, Alaska. It was so much fun. This was not my first time to Alaska, but it had been quite a while since I had been there. I stayed in 3 different inside cabins during those 3 weeks. I booked about 1.5 weeks before the first cruise was leaving from Vancouver, and because it was so last minute, I was not able to choose my cabin. But I thought, this is a great time to try out different cabins. Now, each week was a different cruise, and each week I had to change cabins. It's not that difficult. Your room steward will do most of the work for you. The only inconvenience really is you do have to pack up and let them move things. But I didn't pack it all back into little suitcases. I had various bags just so that they could conveniently move it for me. I'm going to give you some reviews on the 3 different inside rooms. Today I'm going to start with the one that I stayed in for the first week. And that room, it was an inside room. It was on the 6th deck. It was room 6529. I enjoyed the room. It was, as I said, an inside. It was small, but that was fine. For the price, I was not complaining. I had this cruise in all 3 weeks for a very minimal price. So I was willing to do an inside room just so that I could do that. Now, 6529, as I said, was an inside room. It was very small. However, because I cruise solo, I don't need a lot of room. Now, I did have a lot of luggage, cruising and traveling for 2.5 months, but I only took out each week what I needed, and the rest stayed in my suitcases underneath the bed in whichever room I happened to be in. And there was plenty of space under the bed for my luggage. If there had been more than me in there, there would have been space for other people as well to put their empty luggage underneath. When I walked in, the bed was set up as a queen-size bed, more than enough for me. I left it that way. Of course, as usual, I pulled out my various decorations, and I pulled out my blanket and pillow, which travel with me just about everywhere. Makes it feel cozy. The bed was nice. However, getting in and out of the bed was a bit of a challenge, and if you had more than one person in there, I could see how it could be crowded in this layout. On the one side of the room, there's a drop-down bed. So this room was actually made for 4 people. The drop-down hangs from the room, as you can see in the picture. I never had it dropped down, but if you, even having it up, if you were on that side of the bed, it would be a little bit more difficult to try to squeeze and get into the bed. Just because you might hit it, you may have to walk a little crooked. For that reason, I chose to sleep on the other side of the bed, and I used that side as my catch-all. I watched some shows I had downloaded on my tablet at night, and maybe laid a book there. So it really didn't bother me because it was myself, but if somebody else had been there, it would have been difficult. And if somebody had been sleeping in that bed, I believe you would have had to pretty much either stoop over or crawl in from the end of the bed. Now, the 4th person, if they were in the room, there was a small chair that sat on the other side of the room underneath the TV at the end of the bed. It was a chair during the day, but if you had somebody who needed to sleep there, it did pull out into a very small bed. I'm not sure that a full-size adult would feel very comfortable on that, but if the price is right and you want to try it, but I wouldn't recommend it. Now, the thing I did not like about that chair was where it was located. I could barely get by that chair when I tried to get out of the bed. There was only maybe this much room for me to squeeze my legs through. So I ended up having to lift my legs up over it one at a time. I thought about moving the chair, but there was no other place that was really convenient. On the other side of the room, there was a small desk area, and it wasn't really any space to put this chair there. So I was stuck with it being there. It was only a problem when I was getting in and out of the bed. However, in the middle of the night, if you wake up and you need to use the bathroom and you're half asleep, it does make it difficult. So I wasn't real happy about the chair being there. Again, for one person, the room wasn't that bad, but it was not my favorite. Now, beside, on each side of the bed, there were nightstands, which were fine. There were also some lights, and there were places to plug in your USBs. So that was nice because when I was watching a video on my tablet, I could keep it charging the whole time so it didn't run the battery down. Over by the desk, there were other outlets, and because I use an extension cord, I had no problem. I plugged it in and then I had plenty of plugs. I also bring converters in case I want to use some of the other plugs, and this did have some other plugs that were available if you had a converter. The room had its own controls, hot and cold. I've never figured out some of these on some of these ships. They don't seem to do much. It seems like if I turn them up, I get colder. If I turn them down, I get hotter. I can leave them and never be. And some days I'll be hot, some days I'll be cold. So I'm not sure how much they do. I did notice every once in a while if I turn it down or turn it up and leave and come back, it may have changed a little bit. Now, this was, as I said, a okay cabin. The bathroom was perfectly adequate. I think you could easily have put 2 people using that bathroom. More than that, I would have worried, especially if they were adults. The sink was nice sized. There was plenty of cabinet space. I'm usually pretty good about keeping my things together and organized, so it wasn't a problem for me having that bathroom. The shower was a nice sized shower. There was shower gel and shampoo in there. I generally take my own conditioner because the shampoo conditioner combination for me doesn't do it, so I have to use my own conditioner. But I did enjoy and like it. Now, the Spirit does not have solo cabins, but the nice thing is on these inside cabins, there were a lot of solo people on my trip, but they have a small refrigerator. And that is always a nice thing to have. Did I need it? I didn't really need it that much. I put some sparkling wine in there a couple times just to keep it cool. It doesn't make things really cold, so if you need a very cold refrigerator, you may want to be sure to ask at guest services if this is not cold enough. Say you have some medicine you need to keep in there. But it was good enough for my purposes. There was also adequate closet space and drawers. Again, it was just me. But one thing that I know is I pack a lot in packing cubes, so I could take those packing cubes out, throw them straight in the drawer. That helped keep everything together. Overall, I was happy with this room. I didn't have any major problems. Would I choose it again? No, not if there was something else available. But if I got put in it for the price is right, I would be fine with it. The only really problem I had with it being just me was that chair that made it difficult to walk around the bed. The bed that dropped down on the other side didn't bother me because it was myself, but again, if there's more than one of you, that may be an issue. So, I guess for this room, I would say if the price is right and you get it, it's okay. However, if I got to choose a room, I would not choose this. Hopefully this review was helpful for you. If so, I would love it if you would follow my channel. Please subscribe, especially if you want to see my reviews of the other rooms. Now that you've found out about this, go listen to my other videos, but be ready to pack your bags.